जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जयो राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जयो गोपी जन बल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजन रंजना यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजना यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जयो राधा कालचंजी राधे जयो राधा कालचंजी राधे जयो राधा गोविंद राधे जयो जगन्नाथ जयो बलदेवा जयो सुभद्रा निताय गौरा हरि बोल निताय गौरा हरि बोल Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Gurudev, 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 Jayo Jayo Gurudev. Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. While I recite my invocation prayers, please pull out the song. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, you can pull out the song by Narottama Das Thakur. Gauranga bolite hobe. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Karamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Praying at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, our dear most Srila Prabhupada, and all the Guru Vargas, may I speak few words in the glorification of Srila Narottama Das Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for the pleasure of the Vaishnavas and for my very own purification. Vancha kalpatarubhesya kripa sindhubevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo nama mukum karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum deenatarinam paramananda madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Gaura, Jai Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jayo Jayo Shri Chaitanya Jayo Nityananda. Jai Advaita Chandra Jayo Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai. So ideally we read Chaitanya Charitamrita, but today we'll be reading. Today is Narottama Das Thakur's appearance day, so we will sing one of his bhajan from Prarthana and also hear about his life, and then if time permits, we will continue with Chaitanya Charitamrita. I mean, you can pull out the bhajan, Gauranga bolite hobe, but the script is more like I'm reading from a book. And let's start. Gauranga bolite hobe pulak shorira, Hari Hari bolite noyono babenira. কবে নিতাই চাঁদের করুণা হইবে, সংসার বাসনা মোরা কবে তুচ্ছ হইবে। বিষয়া ছাড়িয়া কবে শুদ্ধ হবে মন, কবে হাম হেরাব শ্রী বৃন্দাবন। রূপার গুণাথা পদে হইবে আকুতি, কবে হাম বুঝাব সেই যুগল পিরিতি। রূপার গুণাথা পদে রহু মোরা আশা, প্রার্থনা করে সদা নরোত্তম দাসা। রূপার গুণাথা পদে রহু মোরা আশা, প্রার্থনা করো এ সদা নরোত্তম দাসা। जय श्रीला नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर की जय, his holy appearance की जय. It's been said for Narottama Das Thakur that when Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, he was asked, Gaur Kishore Das Babaji, that, how do you get the love of Godhead? And he said, if you have 2 paise out to Ana, go to the market and buy 2 books of Narottama Das Thakur. That's Prarthana and Prem Bhakti Chandrika. So that's Narottama Das Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says his songs, his primary contribution is this bhajans songs. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that these bhajans are as good as the scriptures. So we'll hear about his life today. Not so much about his disappearance, that we will hear on another day, but mainly his preaching and his birth, etc. So he was born in Kheturi Gram. Father Krishnananda Datta and mother Narayani Devi. And he had an uncle, his name was, Krishnananda was a king, and his brother also a king, named Raja Purushottam. And his son, who was his cousin, uncle's son, his name was Santosh Datta. So this is the family about whom we will hear a little bit. And I pulled this, whatever facts, from Satyaraj Prabhu's book. It's called Three Vaishnava, the lives of Vaishnava saints, which includes Srinivasa Acharya, Narottama Das Thakur, and Shyamananda Pandit, Shyamananda Prabhu. And so starting with Lokanath Goswami, who was eventually became Narottam Das Thakur's Gurudev. He was Lokanath Goswami. He was, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was very young, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like in his youth, he sent him and Bhugarva Goswami to Vrindavan to find the places, excavate the deities and find the places and things like temples and find the deities installed, like basically re-establish Vrindavan. Him and Bhugarva Goswami are very good friends. So, whenever I hear this, so it was being mentioned that 6 Goswamis were not the first who went. Before them, Bhugarva Goswami and also Lokanath, along with Lokanath Goswami, they went to Vrindavan to find the place and re-establish Vrindavan. And I always thought when it comes to, the instruction that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave to 6 Goswamis, that go find the places. For me, I think if somebody tells me, go find places in America. And I was like, how? Without map, without, any clue, no connectivity, nothing. How do you find a place? And then when I was reading to Prabhu this book, Prabhu mentions that, because Bhugarva Goswami, Leela Manjari, and Lokanath Goswami, Prema Manjari, if I'm recollecting the names properly, they were in Krishna Leela. So it was for them, they witnessed the pastimes. So for them it was like going and navigating the place, and it is the place where they have, personally witnessed seeing the things. So they had to go and find things, and that occurred to me. Same happened with our 6 Goswamis, the Manjaris. They had personally witnessed all the pastime, the Leelas of Radha and Krishna and the Leela Sthali, the place where the pastime occurred. So they had to like re-find it, and like how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu found Radha Kund, Sham Kund. Like for them it was like, finding the place which they have witnessed themselves. So they came here and they were, they started this. But of course, with 6 Goswamis, it went more systemized and things like came into, more into form when the Goswamis joined. But they were the first two, Lokanath Goswami and Bhugarva Goswami. And once Lokanath Goswami, though he never left Vrindavan, but he wanted to see Mahaprabhu, hearing that he got sannyas. He took sannyas. So hearing that, Lokanath Goswami became very despondent and wanted to see Mahaprabhu. So he went wherever he heard Mahaprabhu, he went to Puri, he went to all the places Mahaprabhu was. And then he was feeling so sad because everywhere he would go and he will hear that Mahaprabhu just left. And it was not train, flight or bus or cycle, it was by walk. And he was so exhausted, but he wouldn't give up seeing Mahaprabhu. And then Mahaprabhu finally came in his dream and said, stop chasing me, don't come after me. You won't be happy seeing me in this, in this form. So continue worshipping me in the form you have seen me earlier to sannyas, pre-sannyas, and and be happy. And soon Narottam will come, and you be ready for that as well. So Mahaprabhu actually many times have told Lokanath Goswami about this, the coming of Narottam Das Thakur. So near Padma river, so this was happening before Narottam was appearing. So was about to appear near Padma river, which is in Bangladesh, current Bangladesh. Once Mahaprabhu was passing through Keturi, facing the Padma river, and then he just looked towards the Padma river, and he went in there and he started, saying Narottam, 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 which also means the person who's the topmost, personality. Naro Uttam, Naro means human, human, and the Uttam is the best of the personalities. So he went there and then he started saying, and everybody they realized that, somebody divine is going to appear, and then and the water was overflowing. The Padma river was overflowing. And then river Padma personified came in front of Mahaprabhu, appeared in front of Mahaprabhu and, paid obeisances. And then Mahaprabhu said, I am reserving, I'm reserving the love of Godhead, Prema, Krishna Prema, into you. And you give it to Narottam when he comes. And she asked, how would I recognize Narottam, this personality you are mentioning? And he replies that when he comes and takes bath, how the water overflew now, it will happen again. And you will realize it's him, and then you will pass it on to him. And seeing all this, Nityananda Prabhu said, this is so ecstatic. I don't want to leave this place. I want to be here. But Mahaprabhu said, you will be here. You will instruct him, because as the book says that Nityananda Ram is the Guru Tattva. So he will be instrumental to find Narottam his Guru eventually. And then, and this side, when Narottam was born, as I was mentioning, his parents, his family. So he was born, and during his Anyaprashan, the first grain ceremony where, they touch the baby starts eating the regular food, grain, rice, dal, sabji. During Anyaprashan, what happened that, the food was brought in front of him and he wouldn't accept it. And like the parents will try and he wouldn't accept it. And eventually some devotee happened to bring some prasadam and offer it to Narottam Das Thakur, and he immediately accepted it heartily. And then everybody cheered for him, seeing how divine he is. And that's when Narottam's journey started. As he grew, he was very, extraordinary student in his learning, including the spiritual books, religious books. And when he was a teenager, Nityananda Prabhu came in his dream and instructed him to go to river Padma and take a dip there. So morning happened, he woke up and he took a dip. As soon as he took a dip, it said that Narottam Das Thakur was naturally little, darker in complexion. And as soon as he took the dip, as soon as he bathed into the water, after the dip, he became fairer in complexion. So that was one thing. And the second thing was that the love that was hiding into the river Padma was transferred into Narottam Das Thakur, and he kind of became mad in love of God, and he started crying and all sort of 8 symptoms, His body started shivering and he started weeping and he started sweating. It's called Ashta Vikar. What is it called? Ashta Satvik Vikar. All the 8 symptoms started showing in his body, and he would just be there. He was just experiencing this amazing thing that he was first time freshly experiencing. And meanwhile, his parents were like so worried, where this boy, it's been some time and he is still not returned. And he was worrying, where is he? So his, being a king's son, he was, the army, the soldiers, or his search party came and then started looking for Narottam Das Thakur. And they found him and took him home, and the mother saw. And of course, the mother couldn't recognize, because when he left, he was different complexion. When he came back, he was a different complexion, and he was like, and then he started narrating what happened to his mother. And of course, the parents got worried for him. And, but what would they do? They didn't understand this new Narottam Das Thakur, right? He was anyway religious, divine and all that, but now this is altogether a new kind of a Mahaprabhu's avatar. You can see, like, he was in complete mood of separation, and he barely would sleep, and he would always lament. Right? He was completely in a different kind of a mood, and he will be always lamenting for the Lord, and if his parents ask anything, and he wouldn't sleep at all. And one night, he somehow managed to sleep. And then Mahaprabhu appeared. And he embraced Narottam Das Thakur and said, as you are desperate for me, so am I. So, I will have you soon. Please go to, you will have my darshan soon. So please go to Vrindavan. Of course, Mahaprabhu had left many years now. And so he was asked to go to Vrindavan. But the thing is, like, his parents were so worried. He was imprisoned in the house, as we hear about Raghunath Das Goswami as well. Like, fortunately, they didn't get him married, though he was planning. So he was like, he was very desperate, and he was looking for escape. Like, how can he escape from this prison? And eventually, by Krishna's, Mahaprabhu's mercy, this Muslim governor called Jayagiridhar, he said, I want to, seeing that so much potency in how spiritually potent Narottam Das was, he wanted to get his blessing, Narottam Das Thakur's blessing and his presence, and basically experience his divinity. He was such a big person, and being a king, Krishnananda, his father, could not say no. So he had to, but he was really worried, so he sent the army, etc. But somehow Narottama escaped. And as soon as he escaped and he started walking, and it's been 3 days, he didn't eat or drink anything. And it's said that being a king's son, he was very, he was nurtured so carefully that he couldn't take the austerity after 3 days, of course. And meanwhile, his father had sent many parties to find him. And here Narottama Das Thakur fainted, and in his dream Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared and gave him milk. But he didn't come as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he came as a very effulgent Brahmana boy and gave him milk, and he drank it, but he was so tired by this walk and all the exhaustion that he fainted, went back, he became unconscious again. And then Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami appeared in his dream and said that this Brahman boy was none other than Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Please continue your journey and come to Vrindavan. As he continued to Vrindavan, he started, but while going to Vrindavan, he also got caught eventually by the army, by the party sent by his father. And as soon as he saw them, and they started asking him to come back, and he said that I can't live without he was referring to Mahaprabhu as, the Lord as his husband, her husband, and saying like, I am a chaste, like a chaste woman would go after her husband, I'm going after God. And he preached in such a way that that party who had come to take him back got fully convinced. And this was the power of his preaching, that anybody who would come in front of him would get so convinced into Krishna consciousness, they themselves will take up Krishna consciousness. So, yeah, and then they left him, and not only just left him, it's been said that one of the person gave money so that he can continue his journey. So he continued that way. Eventually he reached Mathura. In Mathura, where Krishna was born, he met this Brahman. I think his name is mentioned as Bipradas, but anyways, so he was there, and he said that he gave the news that Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they all left the material world and joined Krishna in his Leela. And he was so upset and so uncomfortable because he did all this to get their guidance, and now they are not there. Mahaprabhu left, now his associates also left. And similar story in Srinivas Acharya's also. So he eventually, felt unconscious, and then again Sanatan and Rupa Goswami for the second time came into the dream and said, don't worry, you go to Vrindavan, you continue your journey, and stay under the guidance of Jiva Goswami. And it said that a Brahmana whose house he was staying, he also heard this conversation which was going on at night with Narottama Das Thakur and the Goswamis. And then he reached there. As soon as he reached, and any of you have seen the temple of Govinda Dev in Vrindavan, he reached there. And when he reached there, he was in ecstasy seeing the temple established by Rupa Goswami. He could not get the darshan of Rupa Goswami, but the temple, the deity, he was so much in ecstasy. And immediately the news spread, and everybody knew Narottama would be coming. And they knew Narottama also, at least his glories. So everybody, all those who knew about him, they ran to the temple to see Narottama Das Thakur, including Jiva Goswami. They took their darshan and had association, eventually came. And meanwhile, Lokanath Goswami, who was already been told about Narottama Das Thakur by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was preparing. So when, he came back to Vrindavan, to the, where Lokanath Goswami was. So Lokanath Goswami had kept the prashadam ready. And they took prashadam together, and while taking prashadam together, Narottama Das was very influenced, and, he was so impressed by Lokanath Goswami's austerity and humility. It's been saying his austerity and humility really impressed Narottama Das Thakur, and in his heart, he kind of accepted Lokanath Goswami as his guru. And then when they were having prasadam, Lokanath Goswami asked his story, how did he ended up in Vrindavan. He narrated the entire story, and while saying it, he concluded saying, I'm a wretched soul, I'm a Shudra, because Narottama Das Thakur was born in Kayastha, Kayastha family, which is, some say Kayasthas are those who doesn't know whether, Kayasthas are those who don't know whether they're Brahmana, Kshatriya, they don't know their caste basically. So they're confused class. So they call themselves Kayasthas. Also it says that Kayasthas are Shudra. The other exemplary devotees who we have in the same Kayastha, section are Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Raghunath Das Goswami. So, as Radha Govind Maharaj says that the English, language became purified when Srila Prabhupada translated Srimad Bhagavatam into English. Similarly, the Kayastha section became purified when Raghunath Das Goswami, Bhakti Vinod Thakur and Narottama Das Thakur took birth in that section. So Narottama Das Thakur was very impressed with Lokanath Goswami, seeing his humility and austerity, and then he was approaching him. And he also said that, I'm not qualified to sit with you and honor prasadam. And Mahaprabhu said, what are you talking about? Not Mahaprabhu, Lokanath Goswami said, what are you talking about? Mahaprabhu himself came, the Lord himself came in your dream and, guided you. You have, the Lord himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself as your Guru. Whom else do you want as Guru? And he just, and very beautifully taking permission from Lokanath Goswami, that he said, I would like to put a point forward, and he said, and he gave permission, and Narottama Das Thakur said, even if what you're saying is true, but one needs a guru who can give you in the practical spiritual life, who can guide you in the, or guide us in the practical spiritual life. And reading that, I was thinking how we often hear the argument that how Prabhupada is the only guru and we don't have any guru after Prabhupada. I was thinking on those lines that Narottama Das Thakur, our Acharya, he is saying that even if Lord himself, gave initiation for many of those who argue that Prabhupada is the guru and after that there is no guru, for them Prabhupada wouldn't have even appeared and instructed so. But for Narottama Das Thakur, he himself came in his dream, in Narottama's dream, and was, guiding him where to go, what to do, etc. And still he went for a, living guru. And when Lokanath Goswami said that, you have Lord as your guru, Lokanath Goswami politely replied back saying that, one needs a living guru to guide in the practical spiritual life. So, but anyway, that when Lokanath Goswami pushed it, he said, okay, chant Hare Krishna or Krishna Nam for 1 year, and then we will decide. And it said in the book that it was not a difficult or a new thing that, he's a new bhakta, somebody is telling him chant. So he was anyway chanting, so he continued for 1 year. And after 1 year, Lokanath Goswami was still pushing it. And he started feeling, desperate about taking initiation from a bona fide spiritual master like Lokanath Goswami. And then he started doing service to Lokanath Goswami, and the service was so menial that when Lokanath Goswami will go into the bushes to evacuate, after he is done, Narottama Das Thakur will go and clean that place in such a way it would look that, nothing, this place was never used before and even better than before. And this happened quite many times, and eventually Lokanath Goswami realized it. And one day he hid behind the bushes and then saw who was doing it. And he didn't want to take service from anybody, so he said no. And he again requested Lokanath Goswami, Narottama Das Thakur, that please give me, accept me as please accept me as a Diksha disciple. But he was still pushing, and at this time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came into Lokanath Goswami's dream, and he chastised him actually. He said, why are you not accepting him as your guru? Because Lokanath Goswami had taken a vow a vow to not take any disciple. So eventually he agreed. He said to Narottama Das Thakur that you will be my only disciple. So he was his only disciple. Lokanath Goswami had only one disciple, who was Narottama Das Thakur. And then he gave initiation, Diksha, and then handed over him to Jiva Goswami for further Gauriya philosophy teachings, to learn further Gauriya philosophy. And other two glorious devotees joined him, named Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit. And Jiva Goswami, we hear that Narottama Das Thakur Mahasaya. Narottama Das was his name, and this Thakur Mahasaya was given by Jiva Goswami to him. In the spiritual world, he has, I think, one more name, but what I have heard, his name is Champaka Manjari, Champaka Manjari, who serves under Rupa Manjari, Rupa Goswami, who serves under Lalita Sakhi, and of course who serves under Srimati Radharani. And then, at this point, one day while he was doing his sadhana, it says that one Vaishnavi appeared in his spiritual vision. So this is not basically dream. When he is chanting, when the acharyas chant and they see something, that's called as spiritual vision. So this was a spiritual vision when this Vaishnavi appeared, and she said that I'm very, very impressed by your devotional mood, and I want you to completely surrender to Lokanath Goswami and serve, and I have a special service for you. In the Kunja, in the groups of Vrindavan, the Sakhis, the Gopis, they serve Krishna for his pleasure, and one of the special services serving him with milk, a special preparation of milk. And you will be serving in that. You will have that service as well under Champaklata, which is one of the primary 8 Sakhis or Gopis of Radha and Krishna's pastime, right? And her name is also Mishtahasta. Mishtahasta means one who make amazing sweets, like Mishti in Bengali. Mishti means sweets. So Mishti in Hindi also sweets, right? Mishtanno. So Mishtahasta is Champaklata Sakhi is another name. So you will be serving along with or under her. And that service was given. And hearing this, as soon as he heard it, see how the pure devotees are, immediately he ran to Lokanath Goswami and informed, this is the service I was given by this Vaishnavi. And hearing this, Lokanath Goswami became so happy. He said this Vaishnavi was none other than Srimati Radhika. And he knew the service of Narottama Das Thakur in spiritual world. And he said, yes, you will be doing this service in your Nitya Leela. And then on, Narottama Das Thakur, as he would do his sadhana, he would also meditate on this pastime. And it's been said that, when he will be boiling the milk, sometimes the pot will become so hot that he will not care that to save the milk, he will put his hand into danger and touch that hot pot with his bare hand and eventually burn his hand. And it would happen so often that he had the mark. And he would try to hide it because they don't want to show it to the world that how exalted they are. So he would hide it, but the Vaishnavas anyway knew what was those marks coming from. This is like a Leela in the spiritual world, and which is bringing, coming back. It's called the 3-dimension world or this material world. And everybody would know about it. So this was meditation of, Narottama Das Thakur. So when Jiva Goswami sent Narottama Das Thakur, Srinivas Acharya and Shyamananda Pandit for the first book distribution, eventually when they came to this village, the king of, his name was Vishnu, what is that village name? I'll find it and tell you. So King Vidambir, King Vidambir was there, and he was actually, in the morning he will act as a king, but night he will send his people to, rob whatever treasures and etc. And his astrologer had said that somebody would come, some people will come with this greatest treasure. So he was ready to, take those books, but he didn't know they were book, otherwise you might not have taken. He thought it was some other treasure assets, he wanted to have for himself. And they went and took, But we are not getting into that story because that story is primarily for Srinivas Acharya's story. But here, when they realized, they lamented because these books, we didn't have so many copies, those are handwritten, etc. So they lamented, three of the, Prabhus, they lamented and they decided, Srinivas Acharya said, I will stay back here, Vishnupur, this village, Vishnupur, I would stay here and I will see what can be done. They didn't know who took it. And he sent Narottama Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu, back to Kheturi. Actually, Lokanath Goswami always wanted Narottama Das Thakur to preach in his own village, Kheturi. So they went, and Shyamananda Prabhu stayed there for a while, and then eventually left. He preached, he started initiating. And two of the prominent disciples, there are many, it says that 123 disciples are the name, Bhakti Ratnakar mentions all the disciples' name there, 123. Two of the prominent ones, Santosh Datta. Do you know who Santosh Datta was? Correct. His cousin got initiated, and also another disciple was Ganga Narayan Chakrabarti. These are two prominent disciples got initiated at that time, along with others. And after this, he started preaching, and then he went on a tour to Navadvip and Puri. He met many of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates and took their association, met Janava Mata, Lord Nityananda's consort, and eventually came back. When he came back, he saw a letter by his guru, Lokanath Goswami, which was insisting. The letter was saying that please establish deity worship, because it is so important. Though you have cultivated devotees, but for them to have a loving relationship with Krishna, they needed a form, Archa Vigraha. So please establish and do the prachar, do the preaching in that way. So from there, he started doing, and he decided to do it on the day of Gaur Purnima. And it was, we can be also grateful to Narottama Das Thakur. It was Narottama Das Thakur, though many decades had passed, after Mahaprabhu had left, but then there was no celebration of his appearance day. It was Narottama Das Thakur in the village of Kheturi who started, in fact, inaugurated the celebration of Gaur Purnima. And there's an elaborate, it goes on and on. It's such wonderful. But the few things I thought I could mention. The festival began, and the purpose of such deity worship centers around the Vaishnavas' belief, grounded in the scripture, that Krishna agrees to accept the service through his properly installed Archa Vigraha. And I was thinking about our Kalachandji installation, which was done by Srila Prabhupada. So it is very important that you serve Krishna who is properly installed, and that the devotees can thus develop a personal conception by focusing their mind and senses on God in plainly visible form. So the festival begins. It was a big festival, huge festival, and Narottama Das Thakur was just meditating on how to do it. And Santosh Datta, who was his cousin, became very handy. He was the main primary organizer, because remember his family, he was a king, his uncle was a king, so all the money was given to Santosh. And he did the best use of that money, that wealth, and he poured everything into this festival. And it was not an ordinary festival. They built temples, they built guest houses, they built ponds, where the devotees will take shower, and a big kirtan hall, prasadam, etc. And there were so much of bhoga was stored, and it was a huge preparation and an elaborate preparation. So everybody all over India came. Srinivas Acharya came, Janava Mata came, and many more, exalted devotees came. But it says that, and he welcomed Narottama Das Thakur, Santosh Datta, and Srinivas Acharya also, who did the Abhishek for the deities. So there were 5 sets of Radha Krishna deities and 2 sets of deities of Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Vishnupriya Devi. And how he got these deities were very, another story, that he went and he found, he was talking to another Brahmana while discussing the festival, and then he was sharing, these 2 devotees are sharing their stories, and then he got to know Narottama Das Thakur that he has a godown which was full of snakes, serpents. And Narottama Das Thakur went inside, and as soon as he went, somewhere else I have read that he instructed the snakes to go away. They went away. And he came out like like a victorious king. He came out with these two deities. And they were also installed in Keturi Gram in this big festival. And along with the other deities, the names are there, but I didn't note the number. One is Radha Raman, like that. There are many deities, like 5 sets of Radha Krishna deity, including, and 5 sets of Radha Krishna deity, and Gauranga Mahaprabhu and Vishnupriya Devi. So Mahaprabhu, so first they went, and Janava Mata, it says that Janava Mata was specially welcomed. Of all the devotees, she was like given the precedence. And it says that all the devotees were welcomed with garland, but she was even welcomed with the chandan, etc. Like it was more detailed for her. And then they started the day, it's called Adhibhash, the previous day of the Mahaprabhu's appearance. And they all did kirtan, and it went on, and it went till night, and next day morning. Actually, in Bengali culture, Gaur Purnima is also called as Dol Purnima or Dol Mahotsav, which is holy. Otherwise, the rest of the world knows it as holy. But in Bengali, amongst Bengalis, we call it as Dol Purnima, which is also the day when we celebrate the holy festival. So everything was done, and in the morning, Janava Mata, she went and offered these colors to the deities, Radha Krishna deities. And after that, she instructed that all the devotees should play, exchange this color amongst themselves. So they went on till night. And then eventually the kirtan again started. And this point, Narottama Thakur started singing. And he started doing his kirtan. It's called Garan Hati form of kirtan. It's a very special. It says that all of them, the 3 acharyas, the Srinivasa Acharya, Narottama Das Thakur, and Shyamananda Prabhu, they had their own style of kirtan. So his was this Garan Hati, and he started singing. When it reached its crescendo, who appeared? And his associates appeared. And seeing them, and it's narrated in the book that seeing her husband, Janava Mata Nityananda Ram, she was so ecstatic. So are the sons of Shiva's Acharya, and like that. And Shiva's Pandit. And so they were seeing their relatives and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it is said that, of course, Sataraj Prabhu gives many other, because Narottama Das has been, that topic has been researched by many other Bengali poetic section and etc. They have done a lot of research on Narottama Das Thakur's topic. So those, those parts are also mentioned in the book. That usually, it's not just few people saw Gauranga Mahaprabhu, the Lord, but everybody, the thousands of devotees who had gathered there has seen Mahaprabhu and his associates, with their own eyes. And they were like, for many of them, it said that it was their lifetime experience, and they lived with it for the rest of their life, experiencing this. And so eventually everything has to, in the material, it says that spiritually it went on, but externally it came to an end. And eventually, the program ended, and next day, Janava Mata make breakfast for everybody. But before that, there's an amazing philosophical point that was being mentioned here, that Janava Mata is the one, after Mahaprabhu left in Gauriya Vaishnavism, there were many different tattvas, many different philosophies. One which was pre-sannyas, one which was after sannyas. And it was Janava Mata who brought all those philosophies to conclusion. So that's why Janava Mata's presence was so honored by Narottama Das Thakur. Also, it says that when Janava Mata went to Vrindavan, it was her who mentioned to Jiva Goswami that these differences are being, being put to, it's come to a, there's no conclusion to Gauriya Vaishnavism because of these differences. And reacting to that, Jiva Goswami sent this book distribution party of Narottama Das Thakur, Srinivasa Acharya, and Shyamananda Prabhu. And it was her initiative, or the first idea, which brought this. And when the books were lost, Narottama Das Thakur didn't know how to bring the philosophies together. So that gave him this idea that let me have a big festival, and and it was not just the Vaishnava Sampradaya who was invited, it was the the poets and the scholars, and everybody was invited. So it was a nice way to preach to the new people and also bring a conclusion between the diversities that was going around. So Janava Mata, next day she made breakfast and everybody honored breakfast, and after that she honored the breakfast, and that's what is being mentioned about the humility. And about the festival that went on, it says that when deity worship was happening, Gauranga Mahaprabhu's deity was installed with Vishnupriya Devi. So it says that the difference, one of the difference, of course my tiny brain could not comprehend everything, but what I understood a little bit was, basically, as I said, there was two parties. One was pre-sannyas and one was post-sannyas, right, primarily. Now 6 Goswamis, they had witnessed Mahaprabhu as after sannyas. So the pre-sannyas who saw Gauranga Mahaprabhu as a Kishora form and they worshipped Mahaprabhu as Kishora form, they had trouble with accepting this philosophy which was to more towards sannyas, more renunciate form. And that's why was one of the main difference. That's where the primary difference, one of the main difference was. And when Vishnu Priya Devi was installed with Gauranga Mahaprabhu's deity, it gave them a solace that they believe in Vishnu Priya Devi, who is a consort of Gauranga Mahaprabhu, which is not a part of a sannyasi form. So there was some reconciliation there through the deity worship, because it says in the book that as Radha is the eternal Radhika is the eternal consort of Krishna, so is Vishnupriya Devi of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that was being taught through that festival. Another thing was Kirtan. When Kirtan started, it did not start directly with the Mahamantra or Radha Krishna names. It started with, it's called Gaura Chandrika, or the glories of Gauranga Mahaprabhu. So it started with Gauranga Mahaprabhu and then Radha Krishna. So that also gave the other parties who are not 6 Goswami followers, again that faith in 6 Goswami teachings, that they also believe, they have similar faith like ours, like that. So, and also another reason for this, because he didn't have the books, so to teach 6 Goswami's philosophy, this was a wonderful opportunity. So like this, Janava Mata was very instrumental, and of course Narottama Das Thakur. And then she prepared breakfast, everybody had breakfast. And then everybody eventually left. And two of the, I think Ganga Narayan Chakravarti and it's called Radha Krishna Acharya, they stayed for very long with Narottama Das Thakur, and eventually they also left under his instruction and went to Manipur to do the prachar. So I think, and after that his Antalila begins, so I was not planning to go into that. Yeah, here the book, it says that by gathering Vaishnavas from many different lands in one place, Narottam was able to convey them the conclusion of the Vrindavan Goswamis in an organized way, and he was able to get the impressions of the Vaishnava pilgrims as well. So that was one of the main thing that he achieved. And as I was mentioning, Narottama Das Thakur's way of doing kirtan was very much influenced. Actually, it was originated from Swarup Damodar. And then the Ghosh brothers, the Vasu Ghosh and his other 2 brothers, they brought it forward. But actually Narottama Das Thakur was one who systematically, brought it into a form which was called this Gauran Hati, which is very popular, but now it's not in so much in practice, it's kind of a rare. So, yeah, it's 8:30, perfect. I'll pause here. If there is any more addition to, please go ahead and read about him. There is so much more to speak about him, but I don't have the qualification beyond this, so whatever I could remember. And Srila Narottama Das Thakur ki jai, His Holy Appearance Day ki jai. Sorry, I did not read Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Thakura traveling with the books with Srinivas?
Yeah, 3 of them were traveling.
3. Okay, so it's Narottama,
Shyamananda Prabhu, Narottama Das Thakur and Srinivas Acharya. And of course, Shyamananda, Srinivas Acharya, who was left behind, who decided to stay behind, he converted the entire village into the Vaishnavas, and King Virambhir also took initiation, including his wife, from Srinivas Acharya. So that village is still there. Recently, Indradumna Maharaj had, shown in one of his video, the temple and everything is still there. So you can take a darshan of that.
What happened to the books?
Books he got, but that's what I was saying, that I didn't get into that story. So finally he recovered the book, because when, when in the sabha, in the, the gathering, when in the evening Srinivas Acharya realized that, there was a Krishna Katha was going on, and whoever was saying it was not saying it properly. So one day he volunteered himself and started speaking, and king was so much impressed, he was so in awe, hearing Srinivas Acharya. Eventually he was the one who started, doing the Krishna Katha every day, and finally he surrendered. And when he surrendered, I think even before he surrendered, he said that, I'm here for a reason. We got this book and we lost it. We were, we went to rest and the cart was plundered and stolen, books were stolen, etc. And then he actually returned, King Virambhir returned the books. Is that enough? So thank you for your audience. Please bless me.
Wasn't there a surprise when they opened up the box?
He must have.
Because the Bhagavatam, when they loaded the books, was on the bottom.
Yeah,
What
it was all
happened?
Bhagavad, yeah. It was all the Goswami, not just Bhagavatam, it was all Goswami books actually. Their commentary and etc.
Well, I heard that the Bhagavatam went from the bottom of the box on its own to the top.
Sorry?
The Srimad Bhagavatam went from the bottom of the box to the top.
I don't know about that. Sorry. You know the answer? Okay. I don't know about that. No, sorry.
Hi Krishna Anuradha, thank you for so wonderfully weaving us through these pastimes. I really appreciate the point that you were saying, how for Narottama Das, Mahaprabhu was coming in his dreams, and still he literally begged Lokanath Goswami to give him initiation for, continuing the parampara of live taking initiation. That is such an important aspect. And every time we get into these cloudy discussions, bringing this back, Mahaprabhu was coming to Narottama Das in his dreams, and yet he chose to take shelter of a live guru. That is, okay, if Narottama can do, what is our problem? So that's a very important aspect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was thinking why the class feels unfinished, because I didn't speak about one thing, that all this that we were learning from this teachings, one personality who included everything in his teachings is Srila Prabhupada. We see deity worship, properly installed deity worship, Srila Prabhupada, Kirtan, Srila Prabhupada, and everything else. So we see that how, this, the point that she was speaking about living guru. So Prabhupada gave us everything, like all the acharyas, what they had to offer, Prabhupada brought everything together, and like a wonderful platter, he offered it to us. So as we glorify Narottama Das Thakur, we wouldn't have known Narottama Das Thakur without Srila Prabhupada. So as we pay obeisances to Narottama Das Thakur, we pay thousands of obeisances to Srila Prabhupada for... I was hearing Prabhupada's shorts recently where he was saying, I'm not making anybody Hindu, Muslim or anything, I'm making you human being. And I don't know anything about anybody else. I know he made, at least I'm trying to become a human being. And then maybe some birth I will become a Vaishnava. But yes, definitely eating meat, drinking alcohol, sleeping wherever you feel like, sleeping with whomever you feel like, not a human activity. Without dharma, you are a pashu, that the scripture says. So he is making us human. And that's what Prabhupada said. So all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, Prabhupada.
So there is also a wonderful book by Sitala Mataji, The Life and Glories of Narottama Das Thakur. It's an incredible book. So there she also says, if I remember right, it's been a while, the Keturi festival also was a festival because of the different personalities in the Panchatattva,
Yeah.
everybody were thinking they were the supreme also. So the Nityananda Parivar was thinking Nityananda was supreme, Advaita Parivar was thinking Advaita was supreme. So this festival was an incredible opportunity to bring everybody together,
Yeah.
to establish the supremacy of
Lord
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and also give their appropriate position.
Yeah.
This reconciled the Gaudiya Sampradaya in a way that all of us as followers of Mahaprabhu, he's the supreme, and then everybody, different branches, like the Chaitanya Charitamrita says. And another thing I was thinking about this Keturi festival is there is great dissension, right? Everybody is thinking so many different things, but everybody was ready to come together and sit in Kirtan, despite the differences. Right? Everybody, despite the differences, were ready to come and celebrate a festival together.
Yeah.
And when something like that happens, Mahaprabhu appears. Right? Without that, we might have our differences, but if we can never come together and sit in glorifying the Lord, in chanting or hearing, then those differences will become more and more and more. And if we are able to come and sit together, even with our differences, and sit and chant together, then we get some clarity, right? Mahaprabhu is ready to appear in that assembly and then give clarity to everybody. So that's what I was thinking when you were giving the class.
Thank you. He's the one who reminded me today is Narottama Das Thakur's appearance. All glories to him as well. Thank you so much. Please forgive me for the mistakes. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhuve vacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Anantakoti Vaishnav Brinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Narottama Das Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai.